So let's take a look at the patches that they actually released. So the Sunday patch. So one of the things for everybody that's been playing the game, I know one of the things that you guys have noticed, man, is there's, it's an early access title. So there's a lot of things inside of the game that they're still working on, right? One of those things is just good connectivity, being able to use the clan guild system appropriately. So that way, when you're on a squad or on a team with somebody, you can actually see the green bubbles. Now you can't see it on the large map, but you can't see it in the mini map that's usually up in the top right. So one of the things they did on Sunday was work on that to fix it. The other thing we're having issues with was horses. The horses weren't actually coming, and they weren't there whenever you were trying to play the game. So like for some of the folks that we had, they didn't have any horses, and horses are just such a great way. I mean, you need a horse. It sucks trying to go halfway across the map and you don't have one. So some of the things they did, one of the issues, failure to create and invite people to guilds, parties, groups, and settlers. We got that kind of figured out. Guilds is your normal guilds, what everybody kind of understands what those are. Guilds, lots of people that kind of all play together. Your parties is usually when you have a party of folks that are together, you bring them in, and you're good, right? So that you can have a party of 4, you can have a party of 10, whatever the case may be. And thus far, we've got basically the entire guild is kind of using that. Your groups are for smaller groups, and then your settlers is when you're going to take over a plot of land. So if you're going to go for there's shields basically on the map, and if there's a shield that's not colored in, you would basically make a settler group, and then once you got the set number of settler group folks, you would then go and you would take the shield, and then that property would become yours, and then you'd have governors, vice governors, and then of course settlers. We chose to kind of go in with somebody else. We'll talk about that later, but so it was a pretty good thing. Global chat wasn't showing. We confirmed this weekend, I think, with Aquatus and the rest of the group that played with us, the Diamond and everybody else, that now is working again. So that's good. So we actually were able to talk to people that are local to you. You can talk to your guild, and you can talk to other people. So there's good parts of that. The bad parts is the bots have begun, and we've started to get, the scam messages, right? Like go to such and such website and get, gold, or go to such website and look at big toes, because everybody likes looking at big toes on websites. So we're getting a lot of that right now as well. So we'll continue to kind of see how that works out. There was some issues with trying to become a citizen inside of an area owned by a guild. So if you are playing alone or whatever, and you wanted to become a citizen, that wasn't working well. And there was also an issue with being promoted. So if you wanted to be promoted, demoted, or kicked, the guild folks did not have the ability to do that. So that's another thing that they fixed. And the last part is the failure to be able to use the harbors. If you don't know what the harbors are, around the entire map, there's going to be these little anchors that are showing. What you should be able to do is go to those anchors, and then from that anchor, you can move from, Mire, for instance, to another map. So Mir is where we're at, and we can move from that map to another one to do whatever you want. Maybe you don't like the current map that you're on. Maybe you want to go and do some resource gathering from another location. That's actually been broken. I think it still is a little bit. I mean, I think there's some other stuff that they're going to have to do to that, but at least they started that process to kind of fix it. They did update it. All of these things actually started to work. The horses, although they came back and they started to spawn, right? And it says here that they would spawn in bandit camps. Sorry. I think about halfway through the day, we realized it looked like they quit spawning again. It's like they almost weren't working. So we had to kind of redo that again. So I'm interested to see today when we jump in game if those things have come back to that. All right. And then this morning we had a surprise patch. I don't think anybody was kind of expecting it. It just kind of happened out of nowhere. And this is supposedly what they did today. They said the main purpose of this patch is to fix an item dupe bug, which we had seen. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be the cart. People were exploiting the cart by basically reproducing it multiple times. So that was interesting. And it was a small group of players decided to exploit it instead of reporting it. And that's happening. And that's not the only area that I've seen exploits. I know some of it's getting, I've seen it in the forums and other places where folks are talking about it. If you see an exploit, report it. Doesn't make it fun for anybody when that's happening, but it's natural that it will happen. The accounts of the culprits, which are most likely doing it for future gold selling, have been banned. So the good news is, you know what? You do those things, there's a little bit of risk and reward, right? The risk is that you get caught, and then of course you get banned, and it looks like they've decided to do that. The other things that they did today, the in-game attributes respec. So if you went in and you try to do the respec, and sometimes it would work, and then sometimes it didn't work at all. And sometimes it would jack up your respec completely. So it looks like now they've got it to work correctly and no longer causes players to lose attributes, because that's what happened to me on my first character. Went in, tried it, and then basically all the respecs that I put in, it just like it completely disappeared. So I'm glad they got that fixed, and we'll see. We'll check today to make sure that that's working appropriately. The marketplace, there was some issues with the marketplace. Like for instance, I went in, was trying to buy a horse. Initially, I found one that was like 10 gold, and it wouldn't let me purchase it, but somebody else could purchase it. So I think there were some issues now with it being functional. And I don't think that's the only thing. I think there was other things that we're having issues with. People not being able to buy it, the gold showing up in your account through your mail, and those type of things. So I think that those things are fixed now. And the last one's the crop fields. This is we're nowhere near crops at this point. You know, we're still down there just trying to build houses. But I know for some of the players, they've started to build the crops. They were having issues with the correct fertility and honestly being able to do anything. It just kind of stayed at the 0%. So it's a good update. I'm glad that they've actually kind of worked through that a little bit to fix it.